What's up, guys? Welcome back to Clunker Revival. If you remember from the last episode, we picked up this 2005 Kawasaki Ninja 250cc for 400 bucks. It was a great find, but when we got into the carburetors, man, did they need cleaning. They were utterly garbage, I like to say. Jeff and I were successful in getting the carburetors cleaned and back on the bike. I've left some links in the description below about some great content on how to clean these carburetors. I felt like YouTube did a great job of showing this in the past, and I didn't need to reiterate some great videos. Now on to the bad news. After getting the carburetors back on the bike still ran like garbage, sputtering, and would not accelerate under a load. So with no other choice, we really decided to do some more testing. First, I decided to do a compression test at home. First, to do the compression test, you have to remove the tank. That way you can get the tool down into the cylinder head.
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take these spark plugs out here and here. And then we're going to do a compression test just to see the health of the engine. We're just trying to diagnose some problems just to make sure that it's got good compression. And then maybe we get lucky and just by changing the spark plugs and fix the acceleration issue. Right now when you give it throttle, it won't accelerate. So first up, you pop these caps off and then you just stick a spark plug wrench down there and take them out. You can see this plug's in pretty good shape. I mean, very little buildup on it at all. If anything, it's running lean. I mean, there's very little buildup on this thing. So, really good shape plug. So up next, we're gonna do a compression test with our tools from Harbor Freight. This is just a cheap Harbor Freight compression tester. So we're looking for anything over 120, show good health in the cylinders. Okay. Gauge. Turn it on. .60 psi is not good. Not good.
So 60 psi in a cylinder is not good. We were hoping for anything over 120 to show good health in the cylinder. So we compressed and tested both cylinders and they came back around 60 psi, and we're rounding for a good 60 here. So we had no really other choice but to see if we could pull off and save this motor with a valve adjustment. So you can see in this image, this is the valve cover. We're going to start by taking off the valve cover. Then we're going to do a valve adjustment, just in hope maybe that the valves are out of whack and too loose. We're just seeing now if we can save this motor. It's not looking good. 60 psi can mean bad rings, stuck rings, and it's a common thing with these Kawasaki motors. But I was just so disheartened because this thing only had 8,000 miles on it. That either means two things: that somebody revved the crap out of this motor or ran it low on oil and revved the crap out of it then. To get a stuck ring would be just catastrophic for this motor at 8,000 miles.
So to check the valve train, we got to take off the, what's this thing called, Jeff?
Just the valve cover.
The valve cover. Lost for words there. So valve cover comes off with 4 10mm bolts. That's the good coolant. Never have any money for the blue ice, do you? I don't either.
Hell.
Shit's expensive. It's like 3 horsepower coolant right there. So, when should you get a valve adjustment done?
Certain bikes have like mileage.
Slider. Oh. Right there. Yeah. Up. Up. It's like doing surgery. Look at that. Have valve train.
Okay. So good.
What are we looking for, Jeff?
Just looking for any obvious damage. Any.
Much like the carburetor cleaning, there was a lot of great videos on YouTube about how to adjust the valves on these old bikes. I'll leave some links in the description below. Really great job by some other mechanics. So let's let them do the hard work and explain how to do a valve adjustment.
So we've tightened all 4 valves to be in the proper spec. So the 2 intake up here and the 2 exhausts up here. Again, there's 4 valves in total. Now we're going to do the other side, which is 2 intake, 2 exhausts on this side.
So while I would love to tell you that these valves were so far out of adjustment, this was just really not the case. They were within tolerance on some valves and barely off on other valves. But all in all, it was a good learning process for me, Jeff teaching me how to adjust valves. I didn't know they needed to be adjusted that often, but we put it back together and we thought we'd do another compression test. It did not come back favorable, around 60 PSI. That we were really left with no other choice but to put oil down the cylinders and just a little bit of oil and see if we could get the compression up to really tell us that we either had a stuck ring.
Okay, go for it. Got over 100. Looks like it has bad rings. Man.
And with that, this project went from bad to worse. Looks like we got a stuck ring, returning low compression, which equals low power, and why the bike wouldn't rev up. I think this guy that sold me the bike knew this all along and just peddled a piece of crap bike. But that's okay. Sometimes you win and lose. And, you know, you don't win all the time. So we're going to have to save this bike. It looks like we're going to have to do a rebuild. But what's interesting, and we need some help, YouTube, is if you listen to the bike in the next image, can't tell if it has a bottom end problem. It's got a loud knock. If it's got, compression, we can fix that pretty easily, but I'm worried about the knock. The question is the knock normal for these 250 Kawasaki's at low RPMs? If you have one of these or rode one of these, please leave a comment below if you hear a noise like this. So with that, with the proper diagnosis and this little project going from bad to worse, listen, you're not going to win all the time with these clunkers. We've learned a lot along the way. We've properly diagnosed it. We're going to end it for today. But I urge you, if you know anything more about these Kawasaki Ninja 250s, leave a comment below, especially if you've rebuilt one of these. I would love to hear some tips and tricks or get some good links of videos. And we still believe we can save this old clunker. So we'll do some proper research. We'll be back soon and see if we can get this old clunker on the road and have fun for lots of years to come.